Greetings, everyone. Hello. Let's just see if that works. Works? Yes, it does. Good. Hello, everyone. How are you? How is everyone? Are you all right? Hello to David Splendid Isolation. Good evening to you. Hello to Red Snapper. Tina, konnichiwa. And the Crafty Nihilist. Yeah, I put 8 o'clock for some reason. I've changed it now to 10. Hello, Mab. How are you? Hello, DJ B2. How are you? 43%. Oh, right. That's in the notice comments. Yeah, I'll do those now, actually. Yes, in the notice, I only had one comment, one person commenting in the notice. The Crafty Nihilist. This is referring to backslappers. She and he. There's two people. Can you call us something different, please? We didn't call you any names for believing a psychopath. And I said, I didn't mean it personally. Just a bit of humour, no offence. She said, I think it's Liz here. We're only 43% offended, haha. Still love you, though. Okay. All right, no problem. How are you all? Yeah, you all right then? New comments are here. Hello, we got Tor Engen, we got Sovereign, Tor Engen. Tina actually got a notification this time. Oh, cool. It wasn't the one I emailed you. You actually got one like on top of that, did you? That's really good. That's really cool. Yeah, how are you all? I hope you're doing all right. I've been better. It's been, yeah. Red Snapper. All right. Could you message Terry for me? I watched a live stream of hers and got blocked for I'm not sure why. Right, I don't know, Red Snapper. I'll ask her for when I get the chance. Oh, yeah. Red Snapper says, Fred, I feel I know you after Ben's last reply to comments video. Oh, yeah. Red didn't contribute a lot, didn't you, Red? Well done. Hello, Jason. How are you? Are you all right, everyone? All right, then, guys. I mean, I think we've got 12 people watching already. That's really, really cool. I've got my Porter's jumper on. The reason is because my Porter shirt, because I was going to do the review for... Hello, Gary. How you doing, mate? How you doing? I was going to do the review for the Cynthia's watch party. And then this all came up. Yeah, I mean, Crafty and Gary will know what I'm talking about. What no vest? Kastner a clute till maybe out. I have no vest on, no. It's too hot for it. It's almost too hot for this, but I don't do strip teasers on YouTube because it'll be banned. My video will be banned even quicker than it does anyway. I think I'm being targeted specifically because I'd like to show you like a couple of clips and I can't because I'll immediately get a copyright strike on the video, even though it's very obvious fair use. But that's how it goes, isn't it? That's how it goes. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, what happened was, Crafty Nihilist, Gary and I, the four of us went out. We went to the geoengineering protest in London. And I actually shot a video that I was going to edit and upload yesterday. And I didn't. I was going to upload it yesterday or today. And I didn't. Because this all came up. Because I went home. I got home from London. I was really, really tired. I just went straight to bed. And I was just like, I think I was in bed by about 10:30. Yeah. And then, and I woke up in the morning and I checked, and then I went to work and I came back. And guess what happened? All the news had gone crazy. The news had just gone crazy. US strikes Iran nuclear sites. Donald Trump said the US has completed strikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran: Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. And this was a completely successful attack, apparently. A fleet of B-2 stealth bombers headed for all the way from Missouri, USA, to Iran and back again. They can do it. It's got a very long range. Got a 6,000-mile range. So it can do it. Love the background screenshot. Goodfellas is a great film. Yeah, it's a meme. You know, the laughing men, because the laugh's on me now, isn't it? And in fact, if any backslappers or whatever word you choose to use, I suppose backslappers is kind of like pejorative. Not all the people who sort of like just who do the backslapping thing are backslappers. Like Kelly Chase, I mentioned, was kind of a nice person who's a backslapper. I didn't tell Rhiannon about this. I should share this with Rhiannon. Hang on, I didn't share my. Forgot to tell her about this. I think did I mention it on the show last night? I don't know. I'll share it with her. Here we go. Right, I'm going live. That's me going live. I'll just share this. Right, no, not save. Share to messages. And there we go. There we go. I just sent it to her. There we go. That's all you can do, really. All right. Yeah, it's now just a little bit of an aside. The Northrop B-2 Spirit, right? This is it's this stealth bomber. You're familiar with the strange shaped aircraft, specially designed to appear to be very difficult to detect on radar because of its shape. Now, technically, it's just a slight aside. It has 4 General Electric F118 engines, apparently. These are jets. Yet, the thing about it is, a lot of people have said, well, the B-2 is very underpowered. They do the mathematics. They check the thrust ratio, the thrust rate of this. And they say this aircraft's underpowered. And the reason it's underpowered is because it has a free energy anti-electrogravitic drive. That's what a lot of people have said. It has an auxiliary drive, which is based on free energy electrogravitics. But anyway, however it's powered, maybe that explains its long range. It went all the way to Iran, dropped some bombs, and went back again. And I was like, what? I mean, see, because I'd written about this a couple of days ago, just before I went off to London. And the actual locations, these are various laboratories and weapons storage areas. Now, there's a bit of question mark over exactly how effective this strike was for 2 reasons, which I'll come on to. But President Trump is claiming that he had full success. There was a total success here, and that the 3 locations, the 3 targets, were just completely destroyed by these bombs. And these, what was the B-2 dropped some GBU 57A massive ordnance penetrator. That's a good name. Now, this is a huge bomb, 30,000 pound bomb. It's precision guided. It doesn't have an engine. It's just you just drop it, and it has to be dropped from 50,000 feet to make sure it's like at terminal velocity, and you get the maximum penetrative effect of it. It doesn't actually detonate when it hits something. It's designed to specifically to destroy underground facilities. That's why it's called a bunker buster. So it's designed to travel through Earth and through the armaments of bunkers and then detonate inside the bunker. Now, there's a little bit of a question mark over whether this actually did work. A total of 14 of these bombs were dropped on the Fordo uranium enrichment plant and then the Natanz nuclear facility. Now, there's like I said, there's a bit of a question mark about this. It's actually quite a simple device, despite its potency. It just basically dives into the Earth. It doesn't have like a smart fuse. It's just the fuse literally stops when it detonates. As soon as it stops, basically it stops moving, and then it detonates. So that it could go right through the target and detonate underneath it. All right, Klaus Schwab approves the GBU 57 penetrator. I bet he did. DJ B2. Have seen B2s at Farnborough Air Show. Used to get free tickets for a friend of mine that worked in the military industrial complex. All right. The Vulcan bomber is better. Says, yeah, well, it's British, isn't it? Yeah. Red Snapper. A stealth bomber pilot can earn as little as $81,000 a year. As little as that. Oh, I'll have his salary if you don't want it. Matt says, hey, Ben, I've managed to miss every live stream of yours for the past 2 years. Good to see you up and at it. Cheers, mate. Well, I'm glad you're here, Matt. Glad you made it. So, So how effective? We'll come on to that in a minute about how effective. Trump is claiming complete success on this. He's claiming that he's totally crippled Iran's nuclear program, possibly for years. And this is interesting. Israel was in full coordination with the US strikes. This is interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at what Trump has been saying, the actual rhetoric has been very different to what's actually happened. The Iranian officials have actually acknowledged the various bombings. Now, the government, the actual lawmakers in the United States, are very split over this. So, for example, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham congratulated Trump and said he's made the right call. Republican Senator Roger Wicker echoed the praise, saying Trump made a deliberate and correct decision to eliminate the existential threat posed by Iran. But Thomas Massie of Kentucky, a senator, said this is not constitutional. Sarah Jacobs of California says the strikes are an escalation that risks bringing the US into another endless, deadly war. Yeah, exactly. And there was executive members actually who were against it as well. Tulsi Gabbard in particular was very outspoken. Yeah. Now, of course, there's obvious people such as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a representative who wants Trump to stand by his original rhetoric. And it's important. It's important. Trump was elected in a similar way to Franklin D. Roosevelt in many, many years earlier, about 90 years earlier. He was elected essentially on a ticket that is pacifist and isolationist. And some of the lawmakers they want him to stick by his guns, as I wanted him to stand by his principles. Hakeem Jeffries said the US strikes on Iran have dramatically increased. Bernie Sanders, senator, former president, from a rival in the presidential race, Trump strikes are grossly unconstitutional. Only Congress can declare war. Now, Trump is saying he's not at war. This is interesting. Trump says we're not at war with Iran. Iran must now make peace. This is after dropping bombs on them. And Trump has also warned of more strikes if peace doesn't come quickly. This is gunboat diplomacy, isn't it? Israel and the US worked as a team. Well, this is the first time I've heard of this. This is the first time Trump has said anything like this. Netanyahu has been saying, US is right behind us. They're going to join in this coalition. But Trump hasn't said it till now. The Atomic Energy Organization condemns the attacks. The UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has called an emergency meeting of the Security Council. There's a question mark over Trump is looking at regime change in Iran. I think Iran's going to get a new regime anyway, because the actual regime is falling at the moment. It's been very unsteady for a couple of years because there's been huge protests against it among Iranians. And according to this, there's a nuclear watchdog. This is the International Atomic Energy Agency, has detected no increase in off-site radiation levels at the sites. Now, there could be several reasons for that. That's reassuring, especially if you live in the area. Now, what are the Iranians going to do? Well, I found out because there's actually some breaking news because they have actually struck back. Starmer is behaving like Trump behaved a few days ago. He's saying he's calling for de-escalation and negotiation without planting his flag on either side. This is what Trump was doing a few days ago. And Starmer also said that Diego Garcia was not used in the attack. Now, Diego Garcia, I've done an entire video on Diego Garcia, if you remember, because I think it's connected to the MH370 mystery. The government is currently in the process of basically giving away as a job lot all our overseas territories. They've started with the Chagos Islands, where Diego Garcia is. They're probably going to move on to the Falklands and Gibraltar. And they're not gaining anything from them. There's no money changing hands. The only money changing hands is in the direction of Britain to other countries. Now, this is interesting. The Arab nations said this. Oman said they were mediating nuclear talks and condemned the strikes. The UAE expressed deep concern and denunciation about the escalation. Saudi Arabia said this was a violation of Iran's sovereignty and called for restraint. Qatar said dangerous tensions will lead to disastrous repercussions. Egypt said the dangers of the region sliding more into chaos. Lebanese president said the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities raised the level of fear of escalation and tensions. Well, there you are. In the Middle East, they're pretty much unequivocal. Now, this is interesting. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense in the US, do you know what he called this operation in Iran? Bold and brilliant. Where have we seen that before? Where have we seen bold and brilliant before, eh? Let's have a look, shall we? Here we go. Let's just see if we can see it properly. Let's get a good view of it. I don't think you can get a good view of this. No, I can't find a decent bus. Oh, let me just show you the images. You can just see it for yourself. Here we go. All right, there we go. That's a good one. It says on the side of this bus, there's an advert, there's a trailer or poster for the film The Descent, which is actually quite a good movie. It's about a group of young women who go cave diving or cave exploring, and they come across these strange creatures. Now that's not an original idea. Weird creatures living in caves is not an original plot for a horror movie, but the actual critics called it outright terror, bold and brilliant, and then outright terror, bold and brilliant, and then that was what they used here. Oh, Crafty Nice has said something here. Are you kidding me, Ben? He's been with Israel since the first presidency. Well, that's debatable, I think, Crafty, because he said at one point to AIPAC, I'm a man you can't buy. And there was signs that to begin with, it looked like he was engaged in something creative out of this, and it turns out that was a mistake. He was wrong. He's either I've misinterpreted the situation, as you will probably say, or he's backtracked. So here we go. Let's have a look. Let's carry on. The mission is not about regime change. Well, if that's happening anyway. It's interesting that a lot of this is kind of a fait accompli. Yeah, Steve Bannon has spoken out against it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson. They want Trump to stick by his principles and uphold his promise for no more foreign wars. Vice President Vance has said US is not at war with Iran, they've just dropped bombs on them and threatening some more. That's an act of war. What are the possible consequences? Well, some of those consequences are already happening. John Simpson of the BBC says this is different to Iraq. Well, that remains to be seen. This is a major moment, though. It really is. Markets remain calm at the moment. Now, interestingly, the Iranian government didn't seem all that concerned about that. They claim the country's nuclear knowledge cannot be destroyed. In other words, the scientists got out alive, the equipment was removed, and there's an independent something independent backing that up, which I'll just come to. Yeah, this is the Hindustan Times. Israel officials reveal how Iran may have outsmarted the US before Trump strikes. They'd moved their 400 kilograms of uranium, which they bought from the United States, and other key pieces of equipment and personnel before the strike. Well, don't forget, I mean, there was no one apparently in those facilities because they've been bombed by Israel for about a week. Yeah. There's also another thing, right? Another question, right? There's a video you can get on YouTube called "Immense Deterrence Effort: Iran's tunnel bases for ballistic missiles." This was uploaded 2 months ago. I don't know if I can find it now. I'm not sure I can actually find it. Yeah, here it is. Can't show. I'm just so always getting copyright strikes. Here we go. Here we are. It's on deep dive defense. Immense deterrent effect. Iran's tunnel bases for ballistic missiles. Now, this refers to these underground bases, which are known as Missile City. There's 3 of them. They're very well developed. They're sort of on the scale of major deep underground military bases in other countries. There's they are like hundreds of feet down. They have their armor. They're covered in armor plating, and also shock absorbers in case of shock waves. They have special facilities to prevent blast damage if the door is breached. They're very similar to the Cayenne Mountain facility, if you're familiar with NORAD's headquarters. It's on that scale. You may think, well, where did Iran get the nous and money to build that? Well, they got it from from foreign aid, especially the United States. Hello, Snarnock, how are you? This is an important point, isn't it? This is an important point. Tina's brought up there's a guy now he's claiming to be Shah of Iran. He's the Crown Prince of Iran, the son of the original Shah, who now wants to come back. Yeah. So, but anyway, this facility underground, it's specifically been built under a mountain of black granite. Now, the GBU-57A, this is the massive ordnance penetrator. There's those who claim it can actually penetrate up to 200 feet. Yet that figure is based on soil, not solid rock, not solid black granite. There's someone was in that video was saying that this specifically mentioned this particular bomb and said it could only penetrate through that rock to roughly 5 to 7 meters, and then it would detonate, and that would create a shockwave. But the missile city is protected from the shockwaves. Yeah, it's good to see you back again, Snarnock. Yeah. Now I have been talking about Trump's attitude to Israel from the past. Now I know a lot of people said he's always been pro-Israel. I think he had a different attitude. He used to have a different attitude to Israel as previous presidents, and I hoped that meant that he was actually for real and he was serious, but that's actually not the case. Snarnock mentions this. Iran was the last on the project for the new American century. Yeah, that's right. This was written shortly before 9/11. Now, so what it means is that for the 2 problems. First, the 2 problems are, it looks as if the Iranian regime actually removed the crucial material and personnel from these facilities before they were attacked. So both Israel and the Americans are essentially attacking an empty shell. Secondly, it's already been the empty shell has already blown at least lots on the surface. The surface facilities there have been completely destroyed anyway before the Americans came along and blew up. They've been destroyed by Israel. So it's almost as if this is some kind of gesture, some kind of signal. So this is just like, it's almost like this is a political point. It's not actually a military engagement. It's more like a political gesture. And I think it was said very clearly when in Trump's speech. Now, there's people I know on Twitter who are saying, like the Yorkshire lass on Twitter, who's claiming this is actually not what it appears to be. Well, I mean, Trump is pretty unequivocal. He explained exactly why he did it. And indeed, Netanyahu and he's been talking to Netanyahu, and they've been coordinating this behind the scenes. So all that time that Trump was saying he needed 2 weeks to think about it, all that time he was saying, he was like being very, very cagey about his position. And Netanyahu was saying, oh, no, yeah, the Americans are behind us. They're going to join us in this coalition to attack Iran. All that time, Trump was actually conspiring with Netanyahu. And in the end, do you remember, he says, God bless Israel, God bless America. Why is the President of the United States saying that about a foreign country? Why is the President of the United States expressing almost patriotic fervor for a foreign country? You see? I mean, I wrote this, the article I wrote, I wrote it on Thursday, and I just said here, now, you know, this is why you're going to say, told you so, Ben. This is why I call it the told you so, Ben, right? Because I was so enthusiastic when President Trump was re-elected, if you remember the videos I made. But it didn't take me long to get a bit concerned. I mean, and he's done some things and failed to do other things. Even the federal secrets, the task force, where Anna Paulina Luna stood up and she mentioned UFOs, but she also mentions 9/11. She mentioned Epstein. She mentioned everything. It was a shopping list of everything we conspiracy theorists have been talking about. And then they have the JFK hearing, which is nothing to write home about. It's just rehash old stuff. and then Trump. Then this trouble breaks out in the Middle East, and Trump appears to be very indecisive. He calls for an end to war. He calls for ceasefire negotiations. And all this time, Netanyahu was claiming Trump as his own. And I thought, well, Trump's not actually said that. All that Trump says is he keeps reiterating Iran must not be allowed to develop the bomb. Fair enough. But then thing is, the original nuclear armed nation in the Middle East was Israel. I don't think that should have a bomb either. I wouldn't like to see any nation in that region having a bomb. So that was the point when I said, and I said this on Saturday when I was talking to the Crafty Niles and Gary about it. I says, this is like a red line. You know, you can't excuse this. If he crosses over this red line, there's no excuse. And I thought he has a choice now. He can just do what all his predecessors have done. And which is what he has chosen to do, which is just back Israel unconditionally, knowing full well that this could open the door and to another massive foreign wartime commitment, the exact kind of war he promised he would never allow. And I've done that bit. We're now risking the escalation, the retaliation. Now, we've already seen this actually, because even while I was just on Third Rail Radio, right? And I've just been watching Third Rail Radio. Oh, sorry, I was just doing Third Rail Radio. And breaking news: Iran has fired missiles at a U.S. airbase in Qatar across the Gulf. Here we are. Let me just find the details. This was literally breaking as I was editing Third Rail Radio earlier. Iran launches missiles at the US base in Qatar in response to the strikes. Here we are. Let's look at the big black cock. Iran has launched missiles at the US air base in Qatar in response to strikes on its nuclear sites. Qatar confirms the attack on the US-run Al Udeid base, calling it a violation. Flagrant violation. Well, all the missiles were intercepted. There's no reports of any US casualties. Trump is now in the Situation Room. This is what he said. He said, "Oh, don't fire back, Iran. We don't want war with you. But if you do, they'll be really, really congratulations, world. It's time for peace," says Trump. Like, well, he's not going about it in a very good way, is he? Yeah, so this is the Iran's supreme leader. I don't think he's out. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. I think he's out of the country. I think he's fled the country, isn't he? I mean, the thing is, Iran now is in a kind of interregnum state. We don't even know who's going to be running the country tomorrow. I imagine there's like a committee of generals or something are in charge right now, because I forgot what they call them now. This is the mullahs have all buggered off. They've all gone. So this is very unpredictable, this situation. So if Trump is saying, okay, we're just going to, this is just a quick in and out when it comes to military action. And this is what happened with Syria, which was a very, very different situation. this was in his first term. He did fire a missile at Syria, and a lot of us were saying, why is he doing that? I mean, his first term was a period of almost unprecedented peace in the history of the modern history of the United States. And we said, this is great. He's gone and he's talked to old Rocket Boy in North Korea. He's made friends with China. He's been across the Middle East. In fact, Trump's first foreign visit after his inauguration was to the Middle East. And we thought, this is a really good sign. He's now, he's now. This is now. He's going to continue the work of peacemaking that he did in the first term. Arts Channel and Trump and Boris are both shills. Well, it depends how you define shill. I mean, you see, I wouldn't be surprised if someone actually said up here, actually. And I know a lot of you will disagree on this, Snarnock. Trump means well, but he's probably controlled and threatened. It could be he's simply being, maybe his family are in custody. I don't know. Hello, Mr. Grey Owl. Maya Tusi did a great interview with the former king of Iran on his YouTube channel. Right, yeah, he's actually the king in exile. I think he lives in France at the moment. He's the son of the Shah that was deposed in 1979. Israel Diego Vera was right, says Arts Channel. Maybe, yeah. I mean, a lot of people have been right. Well, a lot of people have predicted this would happen, and I didn't. But you see, the thing is, I suppose with Trump, if he's being blackmailed, then there's hope for him in the sense he could take back control. On the other hand, I know a lot of you will disagree with me on this, and you think he was simply controlled opposition from the beginning. I doubt that. I mean, it would mean that everything he's done so far, everything he's done before this, would have to be some kind of charade. Everything. Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. How are you? But the thing is, the effects are the same no matter what. I mean, whether he's doing this because he's a shill, or whether he's doing this because they're blackmailing him, or they're threatening his family, the effects are the same. He has been defeated by the swamp. The swamp has drained him. And so the effects for this work, whether he means well or not, if he becomes a lame duck president, and the deep state will have control of his administration. Grey Owl, yeah, reminds me of Clockwork Orange. A bit of the in out. Yeah, you see, Grey Owl. What's interesting, Grey Owl, is that I've started to compare watching the news to the ordeal that Malcolm McDowell's character was put through. Where he's strapped to a chair and his eyes are forced open and he's shown all these violent horrors. And that's a bit like what it's like watching the news now and following politics. It really is. That's what it feels like to follow politics to this day, in this day and age. Now, there's other things that could happen here. They may try and blockade the Persian Gulf. They've done this before, and it led to a massive escalation. It'd be very easy to do, because if you look on a map, you can see how easy this would be. Let's just look at a map. We'll just show you the geography of the whole thing. No, I'm not a robot. No, I am not a robot. Right, here we go. This is the Persian Gulf here, and this is where 1/5 of all the oil in the world has to come through this sea, where it's taken from these countries here: Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, etc., Qatar. These oil producing countries, and Iran too, which is a massive oil producer. All these oil tankers have to come through this choke point here, which is the Strait of Hormuz. This is just, as you can see, it's only about 40 miles wide, and this entire coastline is Iran. There's a big naval base here at Bandar Abbas, and they could actually deploy their navy and completely seal off this location, prevent ships coming in and out. Now, if they do that, they've done that before. There would have to be an intervention. The U.S. Navy, which is already in the area, would have to go in and put a stop to it. Now, what would that mean? How would they do that? David, Iran is now at war with the United States and Qatar. Yeah, I mean, this although Trump says he doesn't want war, he's just dropped bombs on them. And he's done it for what for? Not in the interest of the United States. He's done it for the interest of Israel, a foreign country. He's done it for the sake of a foreign nation. Oh. And I really thought this wouldn't happen. I really thought it wouldn't happen. I thought I was hopeful of much better. Let me just show you some images here. I've got some images of the day. Here we go. I'll tell you what. It's just illustrate some of the things I'm talking about here. Oh, okay. Large icons. Here we go. Right, what's happening in my computer here? Where's Picture Viewer? Where's Picture Viewer gone? Oh, for bloody hell. That's better. Windows Photo View, that's what I wanted. That's the app I wanted. Okay. That's your B2 Spirit dropping one of those bombs, one of those bunker busters. This is how it works, you see. The bomb is released from a height of 7.5 miles with no engine. It is the very high altitude that allows it to generate speeds as it falls. Satellite guidance allows it to steer using adjustable fins. The huge weight of the bomb results in a large amount of kinetic impact. The energy drives the dense alloy casing up to 60 meters underground. And finally, a delayed fuse detonates 2,400 kilograms of explosives. Now, the thing about this is, firstly, it doesn't have a delayed fuse. The fuse simply triggers the fuse system starts when it stops moving. So it'll basically 60 meters. But it doesn't mention here what kind of underground. It's just it can penetrate. The 60 meters based on soil, not black granite. So it just seemed like it's not that. I mean, it'll just keep going till it stops. I suppose you need to know exactly what kind of material, what kind of earth you actually are going through, and you need to know exactly how deep the base is to estimate how the velocity of the bomb's impact, to know exactly to make sure it detonates actually within the target itself. These is Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. This is where they're right very far inland, and they're not near the coast. Iran is a huge country, and there's some pictures of them. Although there's a tunnel complex, you see, up to 262 to 290 feet underground, 80 to 90 meters. That's entrances to the tunnel complex. See, this is the support building that's on the surface that has been destroyed, and this is the actual B2. There's another picture of it, and there's more of that. We've seen that one already. And there's some more pictures there, and that's just my still. So yeah, there's some images of the day. Hello, Plastic Pyramid. How are you doing? Putin still swears blind Russia is not at war with Ukraine. So I'm not going to publish what you say here, but he says he's been an errand boy for the Jays. You know what I mean by Jay. Now, I don't agree with you on that. Firstly, I've got nothing against Jay. This fixation on Jay, I think, is wrong. I've done an entire video about that, if you remember. It's somebody called J Word. And YouTube banned it for hate speech. Can you believe that? YouTube banned it for hate speech. It was ABB that gave them nuclear tech, yes. Owned by Wallenberg, who's attending the Bilderberg meeting. Wallenberg. Yes, Donald Rumsfeld was on their board, wasn't he? Why is he not under arrest? Why is Trump not arresting him? Why is Trump not arresting him? What about drain the swamp, lock him up, things like that? Why is that not happening? And I know what a lot you're going to say. It's because Trump was never going to do that because he's simply a shill. He's simply a shill. He's a confidence trickster. You've fallen for it. Honestly, that could be true. I don't think he's always been that way, but he is now. Yeah, he is now. There's no doubt about it. He's been compromised. And this is the question. I mean, I watched a video by Sweeps Fox about this. He was going to send me some images, actually. I don't know if he's managed to do it. No. But, remember the Mossad motto. Yes, we will do war by deception. Yes. Plastic Pyramid. I didn't mention Jays. I didn't say you did. It was someone else who mentioned Jays and went on about Jays. There's nothing wrong with Jays. There's nothing wrong with Jays. It's a big thing. They're nothing to do with the New World Order. Jays are innocent. All right. Who's going to take over in Iran? This is an important point, right? Trump is playing with a regime that doesn't exist. He's trying to judge. His intelligence advisors are currently giving him advice on a regime that no longer exists. I mean, it's fallen. They've all fled. They've all fled Tehran. Tehran. Someone else is now. Plastic Pyramid. I didn't neglect to mention it was someone else. I've just done so. I don't know who it was. It was somebody else. Stampede said it was Jay. All right, not you. Red Snapper. Will you agree never to support another major candidate? I think that's going too far. But if I could feel the way I did about Trump, and then he screws up and throws us under the bus and turns coat the way he has. Is there anyone who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't do that if Trump would? If Trump would do the dirty on us and stab us in the back, who else wouldn't? Who else do we believe now? You see what I mean? Oh, it's depressing. It's really it was very upsetting when this happened. I mean, I kind of knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Because when I was talked about this with the Crafty Nihilist and Gary, I says, I got a horrible feeling he's just going to do the usual thing and support Israel. That's all he's going to do. Here's the speech he gave saying, we've done this. God bless Israel. God, that could have been Obama talking or Bill Clinton or George W. Bush. He's merged seamlessly back into the establishment. Johnny Fettler, it was blinking obvious. I don't think it was obvious. I know a lot of people will say it was. A lot of people have called it that way, regardless of anything, just in case, as a paradigm of prevention, But I don't. I think it was. It was a reasonable mistake to make. I think it was. I don't think I was being naive or anything like that. I wasn't being naive. I called it as I saw it. What's more, I had discussions with people who thought differently to me. But so for right now, we don't know who's going to be in control of Iran tomorrow. It could be anyone. It could be communists. It could be fascists. It could be even more. It could be Sunni extremists. It could be anyone. Trump is judging. He's just carried out an attack on a nation on a political level. Is undergoing a complete upheaval. Snarnock. I wouldn't be surprising if they beamed images as part of Project Bluebeam in Iran. Yeah, and or something else, which I'll go into in a minute. Oh, guys. So now, where am I now? Where am I doing now? See, this is upsetting. Now there are members of the Congress, like we say, and other politicians, and indeed even in the cabinet. Tulsi Gabbard has made a stand against this, very admirably. Has made a stand, and she's saying she's sticking by what she joined the executive for, and what she thought Trump would do, and what Trump would stand by. She believed that he would stand by it. David says, I still think Trump is doing a great job. David, why? What's he doing that's so great? What's he done that's great? He's done a complete 180. He's everything that he's promised, he's broken. People are all over Twitter saying, former MAGA-pedes are saying, look, I never voted for this. This is Trump's told us that by voting for him, we get the opposite of this. Tulsi Gabbard is the reason she's so anti-war is that she began her career as a nurse at a field hospital, so she's seen exactly how terrible war can be, what it can do to people, and she is not backing down. And I got a horrible feeling Trump is just going to sack her. Do you think he's going to sack her? Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon are also, these are guys who supported Trump to the hilt, and they're now speaking out against him because of this. Now, there have been some slightly more, what I would say is intellectual. DJ Booty, I think he's going to fire her. He's going to fire Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, he'd be that much of a bastard. He really, really would. I think he's really, really going to do that. If that happens, I mean, I'm just going to say, screw it. David Spencer's isolation. The Iranian regime are dangerous mofos. Well, they've had the best funding and supporting in the world, haven't they, from the United States and other countries. Now, this is the way it's being portrayed in the media right now is that Israel is this kind of like a divine little island of democracy and civilization in a landscape of barbarism and horror and things like that, and therefore we've got to support Israel and give it loads of money and arms because it's on the cutting edge of the battle between civilization and destruction, right? And Iran is different. Iran is this horrible regime, and it is a horrible regime, which is a kind of like it's almost like a kind of like a self-sustaining, bootstrapped monstrosity that has come out of nowhere and sustains itself through magic money that just falls from trees and from weapons that just grow out of the ground. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know what the exact figures are, but Iran has received a huge amount of foreign aid from many, many countries, including the United States, just like Israel. Iran is the largest sponsor of largest state sponsor of terrorism. No, it's the largest proxy for state-sponsored terrorism. The actual sponsorship is actually the countries that give it foreign aid. Yeah, and David says here, Trump never said he would never use military force overseas. No, he said that he would comply with the Kellogg-Briand Pact when it comes to military action. That means that he would not carry out any military action unless there was a direct, clear and present threat to the United States, its asset or citizens. Now, this is not it. So, but this is what he promised. He never promised he'd never use military. Of course not. There's no point. No state can promise they never use military force. You have to be willing to defend your territory. What he said is he wouldn't carry out foreign wars of intervention, which has been the blight of the United States for the last century. Wars like the Vietnam War, where they essentially just move in and meddle with other nations' affairs. That's what he said he wouldn't do. Arch Channel. Are we at the start of World War III? Yes or no? I can't answer yes or no to that. And DJ Booty, yeah, Hamas was a radical Islamist group set up by Mossad as an opposition to the PLO. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, this is, and what's more, where's this going to go? Where are my notes? Here we go. Now, There's someone on Twitter called Yorkshire Lass who I've been following, and I quite like her actually. She's quite cool, but she's been saying some things which now I've got a friend who's like who's a 17th letter person, and kind of like well, I am, or I used to be, but as well because I was actually not because I got into it from the whole. Because I got into it from the Truth Seekers Northeast people, not 4chan. But she said this. This was from Lara Logan. She says, "Remember how we got here? Hillary Clinton supplied Iran with uranium to enrich them." I'll show you this. I can show you this. It's easier if I just show you. Hillary Clinton supplied Iran with uranium to enrich their nuclear program. Barack Obama gave Iran around $1.7 billion they used to fund their unique nuclear program. Joe Biden unfroze over $16 billion of funds for Iran. Yeah, so don't even blame this on Trump. But then I replied thus. I can show you this. And I replied, here's my reply. I don't blame it on him. He didn't do it in his first term. But how is simply fighting Israel's war for them and not saying why else he would do this making any progress? That's the point. That's the whole point. I mean, this 17th letter person I know on Twitter actually was trying to persuade me about how this is not. Was trying to persuade me how this isn't like a big deal and I shouldn't worry so much about it. But then I asked the relevant question here. Says Trump has not declared war or getting US into a world war. He's taken out Iran's nuclear facilities embedded deep underground to stop the creation of nuclear weapons. That's it. It's done. All these idiots jumping on the Trump wants war bandwagon need their heads testing. It's hilarious to see some people melting down because they haven't read one single you-know-what drop and are still listening to fake news and continuously pushing for World War III. And I said, I hope you're right, but he needs to say that he's not doing this for Israel like the other presidents have and arrest Obama and the others who funded Iran and gave them weapons. He needs to do this openly ASAP. And of course, he hasn't done that. He's done he has actually stated he's doing this for Israel. He's actually stated that. He said exactly what every other president have said. Now, there was one issue, right? That supposing this does actually escalate into a full-scale confrontation, it could escalate with, for example, a blockading the Persian Gulf, which is what Iran could do. They could do it very easily with their navy. The US and other navies would have to intervene to get the oil flowing again. This could well result in a military confrontation at sea between the navies. Now the problem is, like, then what? There'll have to be more bases built in the Middle East to contain the Iranian threats, more troops sent over to this country, and eventually, this could result in a skirmish, a land invasion of Iran, etc., which will cost how many millions of lives? Exactly the kind of war that Trump promised he would never, ever engage in. And it could all be traced back to this moment when he dropped these bombs on these nuclear facilities. Red Snapper makes a good point. What happens if China backs Iran? Yeah. What happens if he does? What if China invades Taiwan? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Most countries in the world don't recognize Taiwan's sovereignty, but the US actually doesn't officially, but it's pretty clear that on a de facto level they do. This is interesting. David says here, it's an important point. Hamas on the 7th, October the 7th, Iran funded them. Yeah, Hamas are a proxy for Iran, but at the same time, they coordinated their attack with the Israeli state because, as I explained in the videos I've made about this, for some reason, just the forces that should have defended Israel looked the other way, just like they did in America over 9/11. Just looked the other way and allowed some guys on bulldozers and paragliders and motorbikes to go to attack the Beery Rock Festival. It's really dodgy. Now, as I said, what I've just described in like a new foreign war of intervention. If Trump really wants that and he wants to break his promise, he's in the same position as Roosevelt. Roosevelt was, like I said, elected on a pacifist, isolationist ticket. In fact, he said, mothers, daughters, wives, sisters of America, your sons and brothers and husbands and fathers will not be sent off to fight in a foreign war in Europe, because he knew when he was campaigning that war in Europe was inevitable. Then someone had a word of him and said, actually, we need America to enter this war. And he says, and Roosevelt said, well, I've just promised I won't do it. But we can sort that out. And then, of course, if you remember my 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor video, they looked the other way, just like Netanyahu did, and allowed the Japanese to destroy Pearl Harbor naval base. And suddenly his problems are over. He says, well, I didn't want us to get involved in the war, but we've just been attacked by Japan. We have to fight, we have to fight back. Now, DJ B2, you must be getting the same, you've been getting the same mail that I have. You must subscribe to Deborah Tavares. Yes. USS Nimitz, famous, the very, very same ship. It's the very same ship that that was involved in the 2004 UFO events, if you remember. Do you remember the UFO 2004? There's the Tic Tac and everything. David says, I don't believe that. I believe the official investigation makes sense to me. Well, I mean, you could watch the videos I made and look at that. I think it does make sense. I did look into this. I made some videos about it, but it's up to you, David. I mean, you can think otherwise if you like. USS Nimitz is the name ship of the class. It's the first of the line of this principal aircraft carrier class in the United States, laid out in the late 60s, launched 1972, commissioned 1975. It's a very old ship, very old indeed. They're actually phasing out that class of ship, and they're replacing them with the Gerald R. Ford class, which is let's have a look. It's this is a ship which is there's only one actually in service at the moment. There's one active. There's a couple being built. They're planning 10 of them. This is the replacement for the Nimitz. Very similar to Torg Ingen. The Nimitz is, well, it's not on its way to be scrapped right now. What's happened is the Nimitz is on her last deployment, and then she's going to be scrapped. Yeah, she's going to be decommissioned, and she's going to be broken up. It's a very old ship, almost 50 years old now, or over 50 years old, and it's time for her to retire. Now, the thing about it is, Nimitz is nuclear powered. This means that scrapping a nuclear powered ship is actually a very long, complicated, and quite dangerous business, and it's expensive. It takes a long time. Now, it'd be very, very. I mean, people who don't want to spend that kind of money will be looking into alternatives. And because it's an old ship, as Tor Engen said, it will make a good sacrificial lamb. Now, this reminds me very much of the USS Liberty incident. This was during the Six-Day War of 1967, where a research ship, USS Liberty, was struck by the Israeli Air Force and Israeli Navy motorboats with torpedoes and bombs. 34 crew members were killed, 171 severely wounded, the ship severely damaged. Now, the ship was 25 miles off the coast of Egypt in international waters. Now, it turned out that this was actually an attack by Israel on this ship, the Israeli. But the thing is, it was only later on it came out, and Israel just said, "Oh, I'm very sorry, we made a mistake." And there was a joint inquiry with the Israeli and United States government under Lyndon B. Johnson. And guess what they found? But Johnson just said, "Okay, we accept your apology. The case is closed." But others, including Thomas Hinman Moore, the 7th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said no. This was a botched false flag. In other words, the plan was that the USS Liberty would be blamed on Egypt and therefore allow Johnson, exactly like he did a few years earlier with the Gulf of Tonkin, to galvanize public opinion into a war against Egypt. That's what it was about. And now, wouldn't it be very convenient for Trump and his administrations and the warbirds associated with that? Wouldn't it be very convenient for them if, say a submarine or something was to torpedo the USS Nimitz? It would get rid of a very inconvenient piece of hulk that they want to get rid of. It would be a quick and simple way to get rid of it, save a lot of money. And what would American public opinion be after that? Oh my God, they just killed they just destroyed the ship and sunk it. There are thousands of sailors drowned. Horrible, horrible Iranians did that, or Iranian proxies. Oh, someone's mentioned Operation Gladio. Yeah, the WWII files. Oh, yeah. I'll bet Hecklefish was very noisy in that one, wasn't he? Yeah. David says, I agree with the Liberty event being the most likely explanation. So could we see the same thing again? Could we see the same thing again? You see, like, this was an opportunity. This was, like I said, this was the acid test for Trump. What could he do? Now, he could, if he'd been who I hoped he would be, he would use this as a creative opportunity. He would say, okay, we're not going to support Israel anymore with all this. Okay, we're going to take a different approach to this. And at the same time, because then he'd be accused by the Jewish community of just throwing Israel to the wolves. And that's not true, because he would then say, well, look, we're going to be honest, but, Iran receives foreign aid as well. We're going to arrest Donald Trump and Barack Obama and all these people, Hillary Clinton, etc., for giving them nuclear technology. And should a false flag occur and the Nimitz is destroyed, Trump must reveal exactly what it is. That was his opportunity. You see, wars always stop when both sides run out of money and lies. So, I mean, people ask me, well, this whole thing with Israel, it's one of these things that you've got, people will say, well, whose side are you on? Well, I stand with the innocent people of Iran. I stand with the innocent people of Israel. I oppose the regimes of both those countries. And now I oppose the US regime too, because Trump has shown himself to be, hello, hey, Johnny, how you doing? Not what I hoped he would be. He's shown himself to be what a lot of you guys already said he was. And maybe he was. DJ says the lies carry on for a lot longer, even after the war has ended. Well, not if someone prominent enough actually says what they are. This could have been Trump's greatest moment, but he's blown it. Either he was corrupt from the beginning, as a lot of you guys will say, or he's been compromised in some way for whatever reason. I don't know. Hello, CCG. No, how you doing? I'm not bad, thank. I'm not bad, thank you. It doesn't matter if you're late, so better late than never. But you know what? I'm like, this is getting me to the point where I'm starting to think that, like, politics itself is a form of torture. I'm starting to think that maybe the political process itself, Snarnock, could Trump be the false prophet? Or what do you mean? Could he is? I'm getting to the point where maybe this whole thing is some kind of love bombing. How you get these in torture techniques. There's the good cop and the bad cop. They bring in the prisoner of war, and then this guy beats him senseless. And then there's another man walks in and says, "Stop that right now! That's barbaric. I'm reporting you." And he makes the victim a cup of tea, and he sits down. I'm terribly sorry about what my colleague did. He really shouldn't have done that. That's the good cop. Right, and that's designed to engender feelings of Stockholm syndrome in the victim. So the victim then, will then like develop feelings of warmth towards the good cop, and then the good cop will but the good cop and the bad cop are actually working together. Green Sky says, I'm going to sit on the fence and see what happens. Well, Green Sky, I was on the fence last week, but I did say, if this happens, I'm getting off the fence. I wonder what will make you get off the fence then. DJ says, I gave Trump the benefit of the doubt in his first term. Well, there wasn't that much doubt in his first term, DJ. I can understand if you feel let down. Thanks, mate. And it is, yeah. Red Snapper, do you think Trump and Brexit 2016 was all a con? No, it can't be. It can't be. It cannot be. This whole thing is simply some massive charade. For the last 9 years, we've been led up a garden path, but it's been so sophisticated, it's been so elaborate. I want to. I think we should memorialize it. So, for example, this is my studio era. I'm not changing. I'm not getting rid of these things here. Like I've still got the Brexit T-shirt, and I keep the MAGA hat too, because I think we should memorialize. We should memorialize 2016. Because I don't believe 20. See, I don't believe 20. I can't believe. I mean, some of you will disagree with you. Some of the backslappers, or nicer words for backslappers, have been saying the 2016 effect didn't exist. It was all a big con, man. It was all a psyop. But really, so could it really? The depth and complexity of the whole thing was just a confidence trick. I don't know. I think there are some people, some of the backslappers will just say everything's a psyop. So if it turns out to be one, they can just say, well, I knew it was going to be. I was proved right. When it wasn't, it was just a guess on their point. Plastic pyramid. But so back to my point that you didn't address. Oh, for goodness sake, plastic pyramid, you're not the only person commenting here. I'm trying to do a presentation and follow people's comments, and I can't always. You have to be patient, I'm afraid. Trump says he's not at war with Iran. You knock him for it. Putin says he's not at war with Ukraine. You said nothing. Well, there's a slightly different situation. Firstly, Trump is at war. Trump, it's I can't. What's the difference? To explain that difference, Plastic, I think you'd have to go and watch the videos I made about those things. I mean, if you want to make a specific point about that, go ahead. But I'm not going to go and I'm not going to spend like 20 minutes looking up my notes that I made years ago to answer your question. There is a different situation. Ben, interested in your opinion, how else could a nuclear Iran be dealt with? Diplomacy? The EAEA declared Iran is not in compliance, enriching beyond 60% for their nukes. Hello, Hugo. How are you? Welcome. Don't worry about it if you're late. Well, David, the answer to your question is very simple. How else could Iran be dealt with? Well, it's very, very simple. You just stop giving them money and stop giving them technology. You arrest the people who did it. They wouldn't be building nukes if the previous American administrations had not provided them with all the money and technology they needed. If they hadn't done that, this wouldn't be a problem. It's like Bill Hicks, he says. He's talking about he's a Hitler. He's a Hitler. He's a Hitler. Well, he was your friend last week, but he's a Hitler now. Saddam's a Hitler. Well, what does that make you, Goebbels? Quit arming him. You see what I mean? It's like Bill Hicks. We keep arming these. We keep sending money to these bastards, and then we have to go and blow them up. It's like that film Shane. Pick up the gun. You all saw him. He was armed. Nice to see you, Hugo. So that's twice you have failed to respond to a simple comparison. Oh dear, you plastic pyramid. Well, it's not a simple comparison at all. It's a very complicated one. Very simple. Ben, would a cessation of aid stop Iran's nuclear weapons program? How do you know they would? Well, you see, they've already got the technology and they've got the money and they've got the equipment. They've already built the laboratories. But what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen if, for example, Rumsfeld was arrested and all the people who provided that technology were arrested? What effect would that have on the international community and its attitude to Iran? Do you think that would actually cause some kind of obstacle in Iran's agenda to build these weapons? Do you think it would? Simsalabim. It was once a chicken coop, now it's a nuclear reactor. Oh, it's you see, don't be surprised actually because what I was saying about politics. You in the future, certainly in the near future, you might see less political commentary from me. So what you'll see instead is what you'll possibly see. You'll probably see me focusing more on the sort of UFO and woo-woo stuff. Right. Personally, I don't think it would stop the Ayatollahs wanting to erase the J's in Israel. Well, probably not now. But then the thing is, David, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to just carry on playing this game. I mean, if why didn't Trump say, okay, we're going to blow up Iran's nuclear facilities, right? We're going to do that now. And he'd added, these were provided by corrupt elements of my administration, and we're now going to destroy these and make sure it doesn't happen again by arresting the people who did it. But he hasn't done that. You see, he's done what I just suggested by blowing up the nuclear technology. But then he hasn't added that. He's done it and just said, we've done this for Israel, and blah, 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 and long live Israel, God bless Israel, and Netanyahu's my best mate, and things like that. Hugo says, a genuine cripple here, 33 years and proud of it, though I can't do heel check tricks. Oh, right, okay. Well, maybe a few more spliffs and you probably will be able to. John Nolan, time to stock up on toilet rolls and beer again. Well, maybe the beer, definitely. Iran should be using the Flock of Seagulls song as its national anthem. I don't remember Flock of Seagulls very well. I remember what was Lisa on Cry Freedom. She was like really into them. Bennett, in my opinion, the only way is regime change. Sorry to say, but I see no other way until the enemy that is hell-bent on zonking you is entirely zonked. But David, should that be done, and then just no one should say anything about how this situation emerged in the first place? Would you support Trump in that and say, well, Trump's doing the right thing, and we should just keep completely and utterly silent about the origins of the whole situation? Because that's what he's doing. He's just acting like all the other previous presidents did. He's maintaining the political theater, as in fact, Carrie Espinosa says that, all political theater. Yeah. Backslappers have been proven correct. Well, backslappers are always proven correct because backslappers cover all bases. They say everything is a psyop, and so when it's proven to be a psyop, they just say, there you are. I knew from the start it was a psyop. Israel have broken every international law. I don't know about every international law. They've certainly broken a few. I mean, I think that turning a blind eye to an attack on your own country because it benefits your agenda of your administration, I think that's against international law. Green Sky 17 says, what we see in the Middle East is nothing new, and it's been going on since Babylonian times, and their butchery was the head chopping back then. Oh, David says, you agree with me about the shenanigans of the past. You see, David, that I think is the key point, that Trump is not doing that. He's not speaking out against that. That's the problem. He's not speaking out. He's just behaving like he's playing his own role in this charade in the same way all his predecessors did. Oh, there we go. Right. Where are we now? I'm just checking my notes. Have I lost? Oh, I haven't lost anything. All right. Is everyone here? Oh, right. Who's not here? Now, one thing about the Epstein files, right? I don't think Trump was in the Epstein files. The reason is the flight logs. The people who are in the Epstein files, the people who flew on the Epstein jets. Now, people say, well, Trump flew on them twice. Yeah, from Florida to New York. He didn't go to the island. Snarnock. Trump kissed the wall in Jerusalem during his first term. Is that a criticism, Snarnock? I mean, everyone goes to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, and world leaders go there and they pay their respects at the Wailing Wall. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with Jews go there to pray, and well, why not? I've got nothing against the Jays. The Jays are not doing anything wrong. They're not behind any kind of international conspiracy or anything like that. Yeah. I knew someone who prayed at that wall once. Yeah. This Jewish guy I knew. He said, I prayed at that wall every day for 6 weeks, he said. I prayed for world peace. I prayed for an end to ignorance and an end to poverty and a brotherhood of man. I prayed for the healing of the earth, the regrowing of the forests and the cleaning of the oceans. I prayed every day to God for those things for 6 weeks non-stop. And I said to him, well, did God answer your prayers? He says, no, it's like talking to a fucking brick wall. Right. Where is it now? Someone asked a good question here. How long ago did America stop providing Iran with nuclear gear, and who's done it since? I don't know exactly. I know that Trump actually ended. He ended the CIA funding Iranian proxies. See, because Iran was CIA. The CIA used to give money and arms to Iranian proxies like the Al Nusra Front. Trump cut off funding for that. Tor Engen said, Judicial Watch has questions about many strange behaviors at the Trump administration. So do I. All I know is we're going to see Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is going to be fired for her heroism. Tucker Carlson is going to fall out with Trump. Trump's already fallen out with Musk, hasn't he? I don't know what that's all about. Snark says Switzerland is the hidden hand. Well, if cuckoo clocks and chocolate are your thing, then yes. Or if someone comes up to you in the street, a guy with sunglasses and a dark suit, and asks if you want to open a bank account, yeah, that's sounds good to me. All right, and guys, that's all my notes. Except what's going to happen now is, I don't know where this is going to go. The only way Trump can redeem himself, in my eyes, now is if he just comes clean and he tells the truth. And he says, CCJ makes a good point here. Get Oliver North out of mothballs. Yeah, Oliver North was the fall guy, wasn't he? And Reagan should have been impeached for that. That's the Iran Gate situation. Reagan should have been impeached for that, except this guy called Oliver North took the rap. But that's just the unofficial issue with Iran. Yeah. So basically, what's going to happen now? The only way Trump can redeem himself, in my eyes, now, is if he gets back on course to what he was originally. That is, a populist. David says, did you hear that theory that the US military marching the other day of the parade was a shambles, out of step, lackluster, and it was a protest by them against Trump? I'm not sure I buy it. I didn't see it, David. I couldn't bear to watch it because I was already thinking what the thoughts I'm thinking now at the time. Arch Channel, will we see UFO tech in World War III? So not officially, we won't. No, but as I said, I was saying earlier, Arch Channel, and maybe you weren't here, but it's already in use because the B2 Spirit has an auxiliary drive which is electrogravitic free energy. I think possibly. Carrie Espinoza says Kushner is his handler. That's his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He is married to one of the Trump kids. I don't know. But I mean, if he comes clean now and he just tells the truth, that's because that's what he's got to do. He's got to find a way to do it. Now, whether he's been forced to or not, I mean, the thing is, if he's been forced to do it, you can like cut him some slack, but he's still got to find a way around that. I didn't think he was the sort of person who would do this. I don't think he was the sort of person who could do a thing like that. But yes, I thought he was in. I got this idea that he was invulnerable. People looked up to him. This is what I mean by love bombing, because they do the what's it called, the good cops. After they built up a relationship with a good cop in the torture scene, right? the Stockholm syndrome kicks in. Then sometimes they will pull the rug out and the good cop turns nasty. Now this is very, very painful to talk about, but this is sometimes used in mind control with children. This could be why Isabel Menzies' life turned my mother against me. The idea is that is so traumatic that you eventually turn into a kind of like an empty vessel. That's the whole point. This is why mind control so often involves horrible trauma such as torture and isolation, sleep deprivation, things like that. Mind control is often about that. Yeah. So this is. See, I'm not thinking like, where is the hope then? I mean, if all that hope is destroyed, this is really difficult for me to deal with. I mean, all that hope has been. If that's gone, then where are we? Are we back to square one? It was 20. I mean, this is why I want to memorialize 2016, because we've got to believe it can happen again. We saw it happen. We saw a prospect of a better world emerge before our eyes. And it's not over yet. I mean, Trump is the foundational and pivotal figure of this new populist movement, but he's not the only one. There are others in other countries. There's Putin, there's Milei, there's the guy in Ecuador. And look what they're doing in France, the desperation they've got to shut down democracy in France right now. I suppose we could take comfort possibly from the fact that the Illuminati are overstretching themselves and being so desperate. I mean, do you know today's referendum day? Happy referendum day, everyone. I wrote an article about it on Panama Voice. I do this every year. I've done it every year since Brexit, since the Brexit referendum. There you go. And I make this point here. I say this is what I want to leave you with. We should not forget the power and lesson of 2016, that a better world is possible. And 9 years ago, we almost got it. Look how much effort the Illuminati have had to exert to stop it. Look at the risks they've taken. Despite all these setbacks, I cannot believe we have gone through all this upheaval for nothing. Surely the whole thing has not been one gigantic confidence trick, so don't give up. Easier said than done, though, because I'm like thinking like this is I and many people like me have just, this is the point where the love bombing starts, where the good cop turns on you. Carrie, we do live in a sick world. And what are we doing here then? What are we doing here? What the hell am I doing in this world? But it's like we've been suddenly thrown out into the cold. And where are the good guys? Are we just alone here? Are we just put here to be good guys in a world where the bad guys always win, and were we born into the world to be like the Alex DeLarge character, Malcolm McDowell's character? So David, I'm trying to go. I'll get to your thing in a minute. All right. Are we here just to be like him? Just to sit here? Did God put us on this earth to sit here in shackles with our eyes pinned open, watching horrors unfold before us, and just being completely helpless to do anything about it? All right, David, here you go. You said here, it's all right, Ben. There's no perfect man apart from the man, as Johnny Cash sang, when the man comes around. I see what you mean. David, I think there is possibly some kind of, that maybe there is nothing now to do except hope for some kind of divine solution. Yeah. We sit and watch them fail. I hope so, Carrie. Yeah. Rubin Telescopes is our channel. What's that? Is it detected something in the sky? What's that? Because right now it feels damn isolated. It feels lonely. It feels desperate. It feels like, we're on almost like being on some kind of island in this sea of horror, and it's like the lifeboat is sunk. Divine time is coming. I hope so, Carrie. I'm a stoic. I'm gonna keep going no matter what. I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna be here forever either way. I think I believe in what Akbar the Great, Emperor of India, said. He said, life endures for just a moment, spend it in devotion. The rest is unseen. And that's what I'm going to do. All right, guys. Any more comments or questions? Hugo Rune is singing to himself. We just need an alien invasion. Well, I'll tell you what, if they really want, I'm seeing this, we could have the Project Bluebeam thing, as someone mentioned earlier. They will, but I don't think that's necessary at the moment. Now Trump has turned coat on us and stuck the knife in. Now Trump has done that. Do they really need an alien invasion? Oh yeah. Yeah. So unless Trump actually just comes clean and says all the things I said he should say, then I'm out. I'm off the MAGA train. I'm no longer a Trump fan. Just 6 months after I was so happy when he got re-inaugurated, you have to leave that behind, just like I did with Boris Johnson. Yeah. So, guys, any more questions or comments? I'm going to leave it otherwise. All right, guys, because I'm a bit tired. I'm just going to tell them in this Facebook group, I say, all done. My confession is over. Oh, there we go. So I'm just telling my friends on Facebook this, and I don't think they're in live chat anymore. But yeah, this has been a kind of confession for me. But I'm not going away. Okay, I'm going to well, I've got a video already in the can to edit. That is the one from Saturday at the geoengineering protest. As long as there's still good people in the world, and it's up to us, says Tor. Yeah, it is. Carrie says people are seeing the truth in real time. Trump is a total failure until he isn't. Oh, you're welcome, Carrie. Green Sky says, have fun. Don't worry, Keir Starmer will keep us safe. Oh, yes. Thank God for our glorious leader, Keir Starmer. Hail, hail Keir Starmer. Yes. Chin up, Ben. Thanks, Johnny. Thank you. To be honest, I've been in like I said in previous videos, I've been in a really bad way since I got back from contact. I feel, as I told you, I feel like I haven't really come home. I feel like I'm in a different world. Hugo, I'm frustrated with myself for missing this live. Hugo, don't worry, mate. You've been here for most of it. Don't worry. Anyway, what's this? Big, beautiful Bill. Oh yeah, he's the other flower pot man. Yes, build back better. Yes, they all said that, didn't they? Ardern, build back better. Yeah. Oh, do you know Jacinta Ardern has written a book about empathy? Have you seen that? She was on Oprah the other day about how it's so important to be empathic. How empathic was she when she was rounding people up and forcing them into their homes all across New Zealand? How empathic is that? When someone questioned her about it, saying this is a two-tier society, she says, yeah, that's what we want, a two-tier society. Hypocritical bitch. All right, guys. DJ Beach, I don't know about Ardern. I don't know. Last time I saw her, she had quite a packet on her. I'll tell you, and my eyes were watering. He, whatever. Yeah. I'm thinking she's probably Bridget Macron's sister or big sister or little sister, little brother. It's weird, isn't it? How all these men who are in power get married to well, I'm not sure we can say on YouTube, people who are not the gender they appear to be, or didn't originate as the gender they are now. Isn't it weird how there's so many? This is something I think the Jungle Surfer may have a point about. There's Michael Obama, and there's Macron's wife who just slapped him around the face, honestly. And then there's of course there's Ardern who yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it. I think no one else has any, unless anyone else has any really, really important comments. I'll say we'll call this. It's been a good live stream. I'm glad to get it out of the way, but just in future you'll know. I mean, even though I'll still keep the 2016 memorial. Snarnock says, see the Red Dwarf episode where they meet extreme good, bad versions of themselves. That's right. Yes, demons and angels. Yeah, there's the lows and the highs. Yeah, that's a good episode. That is. Yeah, Carrie. Yeah, the French fries married to apparently she is now a female, but when if you look at the childhood photos, Candace Owens has exposed this. They're just boys. It's pretty clear she was a boy, and I think she transitioned. I think when she was about 30 years old, when she then became a school teacher, or he was a school teacher, and then met Macron. When Macron's like 13 or 14, which is, I don't know what the law is in France, but it's certainly something very odd about that, isn't there? Jason, thank you very much. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Don't let the buggers grind you down. Thank you very, very much, Jason. Lijabo FC. Yeah, hope they win the cup this year. But yeah, I think that covers. I don't think anyone else has got anything else to say. So that's my confession over with. But what you'll see in future from me, probably. I mean, I don't think it's going to be easy for me to get back into political commentary after this, because it's like trying to paint a picture of a hall of mirrors built on quicksand, to quote Linda Moulton Howe. So yeah, Snarnock says RDH is working on free energy. I might talk more about that. and I might talk more. I'll probably just, maybe you'll see more stuff about UFOs. I mean, I already put lots up on UFOs, but I might focus even more on that now, and more paranormal stuff and things like that. I mean, other people have done this. Other people who used to be political commentators have started doing this, and I'm going to have to do the same. And this is not an abdication. It's just I have to do this for the sake of my own sanity. And maybe there's a solution that way. I don't know. Anyway, thanks very much. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Good night.